So welcome back to Project Independence and You here at 88.1 FM, WCWP.org. I'm your host, Rebecca Miller, along with Otto, Lohse, and Kristina Liu. We were just speaking with Sarah Gutman, who is a genealogist, and really got some very interesting information. Anybody has any questions about the show, of course, they can always connect with Kristina by calling 311 or 869-6311 for further information. So right now we have our special guest, Nassau County Executive, Laura Curran. How are you, Laura?
Hello, Madam Miller. I am wonderful, thanks. How are you?
Good morning.
We're doing well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Otto. Good morning, Kristina.
Good morning.
So we had a good, did I tell you about this already? Stop me if I told you, but we had a good milestone. Our 95% vaccination rate for folks 18 and older, we hit that earlier this week. So wow. 95% of adults 18 and older have rolled up their sleeve for the vaccine. Yeah.
That is great. Great news. I was reading about something really cool. You created a disability advisory committee.
Yes, this is actually a bipartisan initiative. And I was very proud to sign the legislation this week. And it will create a task force made up of stakeholders from all across the county to make sure that we at the county are doing everything we can to support our disabled community. And, you know, this has been talked about for a very long time. And I think it was important to finally just do it, you know, come under previous administrations. But we have a sizable disabled community, a lot of wonderful, talented, amazing people. And we want to make sure that everyone has equal access to what they need to succeed in life. And I think it'll just make life better for all of our communities.
It's so wonderful. You know, at North Hempstead, we have a small kind of advisory committee for people with disabilities. And, you know, we're able to, with Project Independence, we were able to do some things for the community with our transportation program, because one of the grants that we have for transportation is for people 60 and older and with people with disabilities. So they can utilize our Project Independence transportation program.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so hopefully we can be a pretty good resource for at least the North Hempstead community for people with disabilities. But I think it's wonderful that this is taken off.
You know, what North Hempstead has done with Project Independence and now working with folks who are disabled, you really are a model for so many municipalities. It's very, very impressive. And the fact that you've kept it going, you keep improving and evolving as things change. Project Independence was really there during the pandemic for our seniors. And we really just love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. In our Office for the Aging, we've tried to keep up with you guys, to make the same kinds of advances, to serve as well, and also to work with you. It's a real partnership between the municipalities.
Yeah, we Project Independence is terrific, but we couldn't do it without our partners. It would be impossible. So, you know, we have a great relationship with Office of the Aging over at the county, and, you know, they're good to us. And, but of course, most importantly are our residents. So that's why those advisory committees are so important, because you actually get to speak with the residents and what their needs are. Because, you know, they see it through their eyes. You know, we kind of assume stuff that perhaps is needed or missing, but really until you hear, it's very different. And and then it's like the light goes off and you're like, okay, you know, and then it kind of helps guide you where you're going with your programming and you know, how you branch out. So yeah, it's
my
really
opinion
good.
is, I think that because first of all, because of a great staff, people like you, Kristina, and a long list of dedicated people, is one major reason. The other one is that it's kept reasonably small, and that there's a relationship with the community. It's not a bureaucracy, if you will. It doesn't get too big. And I like to use the phrase, because of it, there's a lot of smart feet on the street. People who go to these advisory committees it becomes
Absolutely.
more part of the community than if it were very large. And I think any expansion in the future should be done maybe small scale with a large cover, if you will, in order to keep that. Otherwise, like people know who the nurses are, they know who the social workers are. There's a personal relationship in this whole program, and I think that's what makes it fly.
That's such a good point. When you have real people involved, people who are in the community, it's not just, government people talking to other government people, but you engage people who live here, people who work here, and get their opinion, get their sense of things out there in the real world. I think it makes the programs, it makes us much more effective.
Yeah, it really does. I think we have most of our, I want to say more progressive programs have come from suggestions from residents, like this radio show, right, Kristina?
Yeah.
And the transportation program to utilize taxis. I mean, who would have thought that we could have actually pulled something like that off? To think that we could do taxi rides for people to get door to door to their doctor. And you know what? There was funding for it. But I love what Otto was saying, because Otto knows, he's like our original Project Independence member, is starting out small and piloting programs too is so important, because sometimes you're off a little bit, and maybe something will work really well in, say, Great Neck, where you have apartments and the community is more walkable, but that same program is not going to work in, maybe Westbury or Roslyn, where, houses are spread out and, you really can't walk to a supermarket. And I'm just saying that as an example. So, we always started with like a plan, a pilot program, and everyone knew it was a pilot too. We inform people, we're piloting this program, and, if it works, we're going to expand and do everything we can to bring it to everybody, which is basically what we did with, Project Independence, because it started out as a NORC, the naturally occurring retirement community. And before you knew it, everybody wanted it and it worked. So we pursued it, and, we became town-wide.
It's really great. And you also can't be afraid to maybe be wrong. Maybe you try something out, you're not 100% sure it's going to work. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but nothing gained, nothing ventured. You got to be a little brave with this sort of thing and try something new. And that's, I think that's a big part of Project Independence success, because this hadn't been done before you guys did it.
Well, the flip side of that is you have to be honest and say, look, we can't do that.
Yes, that's true too.
Be done, they can't be done. So,
that's true. That's a very good point.
You have that dialogue where you can communicate about what can and can't be done, and you get support from the people. And, if you can't do it, you can't do it. If it's not real, okay, let's move on.
That's right.
You can't be tap dancing.
So Laura, just always great to have you on the show. And of course, we mentioned in the beginning of the show, and of course, going forward, we're always going to be talking about John Ryan. If John Ryan passed away on Saturday. And, of course, we're all crushed here and trying to get through the show. And, because that's what he would have wanted. In the beginning of the show, we said, no matter how he felt, if he couldn't actually be on the show, he made sure someone was going to be on the show, whether it was me, whether it was, one person. The show must go on and provide all the information. And
he was in pain many times when he was on the show. He would say during the break, but not during the show. No. He was a great guy.
It's such a terrible loss. He was one of the most kind, I know everyone says this, but because it's true, kind, down to earth, funny, real, especially someone involved, as he was in the political world, not a phony bone in his body. And I just remember when the world opened up again, we went to a Mets game.
I know he was so excited, Laura.
We were sitting there gossiping and laughing. We were paying absolutely no attention to the game. In fact, someone hit a home run. And we kind of looked and then we cheered. Oh, yay, home run. Turns out it was the other team. It wasn't even the Mets. That's how we were not paying attention to the game.
Well, John admitted many times he wasn't really into sports. That wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
And he talked about that particular game.
Yes, he said he had such a nice time.
And
it was so much fun. And you know what? I know that he was in pain, and I know that he'd been going through the worst, but you would never know. He just never, he was never complaining. He just wanted to connect and have fun. And that's what he did right to the end. And it's just a terrible, terrible loss.
It is. He has left quite the legacy. And, I was thinking personally, like one of the things about John that was so wonderful. We could go on, and believe me, we will, about John and all of his wonderful things, is he made everybody individually feel special. Like everybody has their own John relationship, and like when you're friends with someone like John, and it's like, wow, he makes you feel kind of special. Like, oh, it's just, and it's a very individual thing. And also he was, a part of so many different teams of people, like the Project Independence and You radio show. And, it turned into a huge family. So everybody here is, feeling it, and, politically, and his friends and his partners, and, it's just, people had these tight, relationships with him. And, so it's a big loss, individually and for all of us. But I know he'd want this show to go on today.
Absolutely.
And he would have been so happy that you were on, Laura. He would have loved our other guests, the genealogist. It was, this is, of course, like I said earlier, I feel like every show is just going to be dedicated to him. And
absolutely.
Forward.
One of the things with John, you pointed out, he made everybody feel special. John was a very, very excellent listener. And a lot of people are not too good at listening, and that might include me upon occasion. Maybe rarely, but occasionally.
Oh, you're a good listener.
But the long story short of it is, John listened, and he related to the people because he listened. He really he was a guy who made everybody feel good, and he elevated you as a person and what you thought you could do, in my opinion.
I agree. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm just trying to keep it together over here, guys. I can't say too much right now.
You're doing really well, Kristina. And he, where, like the show must go on, and, just like John would have wanted. So here we are.
Well, I'm going to share on a happy note.
On a happy note, please.
In the seasonal, I don't know if Laura, you could, I'm trying to put on my best brave face with my Halloween Hocus Pocus shirt on.
I did notice, I have to say.
Yes.
That bow is quite
night,
touching.
My husband, my brother, my sister-in-law, and her son, we all went to the Pumpkin Blaze at Old Bethpage Restoration, and I cannot say enough. I went many years ago, and it was absolutely breathtaking, and the artistry and the ideas, and it was spaced out so well. It was amazing. So I encourage everyone to check it out. I know next week after Halloween, the prices actually drop a little, so it's still fun to check out.
Yeah, we're going to keep it going for a few days after Halloween. And I'm so glad you went, Kristina. And I'm glad you're getting the word out, because it's just a fun fall spooky
it really
cool
was. It was
thing
done
to do.
So well. And like I said, it was so nice because it was really spaced out really well. You didn't feel crowded ever, and you were able to take, listen, if anyone knows me, I take like a bazillion pictures. So I was not rushed in taking my pictures. So it was really, and the talent, I was absolutely blown away. It was great. So
that's
I had to give
awesome.
Special kudos because I know the county had sponsored that event, so it was lovely.
Now, I have a lighter note one for Laura also. Between drug busts and budgets and cannabis and so on, I saw that you were celebrating Teddy Roosevelt's birthday the other day.
Yes.
And as a result of that picture, I decided to look up Teddy Roosevelt. I've heard his name 1,000 times, and I didn't realize that he actually died in Oyster Bay. You pointed out he was in Nassau County. He was young. He was only 60 years old, which I didn't realize.
Wow.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either.
But he did a lot of stuff. If you look him up, he had every job you can imagine.
He really
skipped
did.
politics for a while, and he was into
police commissioner. I mean, amazing guy. And we've got a beautiful statue of him right in front of our building in Mineola. And he actually worked there. He worked at that building. So
did he really?
We really claim him as our native son. Yeah, it was built. It was built right at the turn of the century. So he's our guy. He has so many wonderful quotes. I love his quote. If you could look it up, I don't want to butcher it now, but about the man in the arena. And it's just about, it's easy to criticize when you're on the sidelines and nitpick and point at people's failings. But the credit goes to the man in the arena who is not afraid of getting dirty and bloodied and making mistakes. And I think it's such an inspiring quote. I think about it a lot when, especially in the ups and downs of political life. You got to be in the arena and you got to be willing to take the heat. But it's very, when done well, like with Project Independence, for instance, it can be very satisfying work.
It's like a basic thing when people squawk. It's easy to do that. But how about coming up with an idea or doing something that might help make that better? And I'm sure you never really get anybody complaining, so you don't have to worry about it.
No, never, which is wonderful. Yeah. But hey, you know what? I'll take it. It's better than being in North Korea where everyone has to agree. I much prefer... I would take as much criticism as I could, to live in a free country where we have freedom of speech and freedom of the press and all that good stuff. We're very lucky to live here.
You know what? Perfect time to take our break. County Executive Laura Curran, thank you so much for joining us today. And we have to take a quick break. We'll be back with the Kristina Lu Hour with Talk of the Town. You're listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM, WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You here at 88.1 FM, WCWP.org. Rebecca Miller with all these wonderful people on the Kristina Lu Hour, Talk of the Town. Otto, Lohse, Kristina. We just had a great conversation and update from our county executive, Laura Curran. And she's, just continuing to do some, wonderful programming for the county and just helping out, everybody. And it's just great to hear the updates, how well we're doing with, immunizations and just really, really moving forward. So it's great to have her on. So Kristina, I see you're wearing a costume. Can you please
give us detail? It's just a bunch of hocus pocus shirt on, and my little pumpkin, we have to stay in theme. Tomorrow is the big day, my Halloween party. And then Sunday, we have, Halloween, of course. So it should be quite festive. So it should be nice.
Do you
decorate? To keep the spirits up. Huh?
Do you decorate?
Of course I decorate.
Really, Otto? Come on.
Kind of stuff. Here's like a little
what kind of question is that?
My little kitchen decor right now.
Yeah.
Candles in the back there.
Yes, isn't that cool? My little light-up kit. That's a new thing for this year. Everyone could see. That's a new part.
So how was Jay's party?
Jay's party was a success. It was a lot of hard work. I was a little freaked out. We had a cancellation from one of the rentals, so I had a bit of a meltdown earlier that day, but I pulled things together. I haven't had a chance to share photos with all of you, but I will.
No, because we haven't seen any. How was the igloo? I'm dying to...
was the hit of. It was phenomenal. I cannot say anyone who is having some kind of outdoor function and for any age, because all my friends with kids, they're taking it because they can do it for their kids. It's adorable. The guy was a pleasure to work with. They set up the furniture. There was a little heater, like a fireplace heater, an air purifier. And we didn't even have the door closed because we just wanted air to go through. And it was still nice and toasty. So I was like, how do I buy one of these? You know, like this.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about the igloo. This is like a.
Oh, right.
Like
You didn't.
igloo
It's like a clear igloo.
Backyard?
It's a clear. I don't know if you've seen them because we were talking last week about it. You know, a lot of restaurants started incorporating them like during COVID times in the cold weather. Jay and I, before COVID, we did one at Gurney's for our anniversary because our engagement anniversary was in December. And we were like, this is adorable because there's a little heater. You could have like little appetizers and stuff. And it was like it was all winter themed. It was adorable. So that's always been in my head as like the cutest thing. And then, you know, restaurants started doing that, you know, for private parties to keep people, you know, kind of separate. And it really became a booming business. So of course I was like, Jay's theme I was doing, you know, an out of this world theme. So I wanted something to resemble a spaceship. So I contacted the Long Island Igloo, and he was an absolute pleasure, and it was so worth it. It was all lit up. I mean, I think my neighbors were probably like, what is going on at this house? But it was amazing. I can't say enough wonderful things. I encourage everyone to get it if you want to have, and people are having now like full dinner parties in them. So instead of getting couches, they're getting like a table.
Yeah, how big would an igloo be?
It was big. It could fit 12 people, like on couches. I'll send you pictures. It was. I
wasn't here last week. I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I will send you the hot photos. But it was great. Jay had a blast. It was really, you know, rained a little bit, but not crazy because I had the tent in the backyard, which was nice. I was exhausted though, you know, because it was quite the decor and running around. But Jay had a good time. My friends all were happy. So it was a good, successful 40th birthday. So we had
awesome. You know, I went to a restaurant in Point Lookout during COVID, and they had the igloo, and you basically rent it for 2 hours. So you pay like $150. And you get
a flat fee,
igloo. You could play your own music. They have a heater.
And you could play games. It's actually a really fun thing to do in the wintertime. Like
it was really good. It just stunk because like they were like, okay, you got to go. But like, but wait, we're having so much fun in our tent.
2 more hours.
No.
Rebecca, that Point Lookout one, you pay $150, but you also pay for your drinks and food?
Yes, usually. Yeah, that's like the fee just for like the rental fee, but you have to pay for, you know, food and...
We went with 10 people.
Sometimes they throw in a drink. It depends. There's a lot of different ones because they even have, which is cute, a lot of restaurants on the island have, they're called like greenhouses.
Yes.
So it looks more like a little greenhouse that you could eat in. Because like I said, and not even necessarily a COVID-y kind of thing, I just always kind of prefer to be outside. So I'm down for something, you know, you throw a heater in there, you know, I'm like super content. So I just think for winter, it is just so cozy and you just feel like you're at like a ski lodge, you know, or something.
So wait, it doesn't look like it takes that long to set up. So they just come.
No, I must say I was fascinated with the process. He probably thought I was so bizarre. He was a lovely Irishman from Massapequa. So I found out his whole life story, but I was watching him do it because I was fascinated by the whole process. And it took him no time to like set it up. And it took more time to put like the little lights around because he like, you know, strung little lights inside and stuff. But I mean, all in all, I think it was done like within a half hour, 40 minutes. You know? But it was great. You know, my husband was nervous it was going to kill the grass because it was sitting there, but it didn't. So that was a success because it was up for a couple of days. So we dodged that bullet, but it was really fun, you know, and like I said, for any age, it's really a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that was a great idea. Well, happy birthday to Jay again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and he's trying to pull like, you know, it's still his birthday. He's been hanging out with his wife a little too long. We've been together for too long that he's keeps claiming it's, you know, his birthday month. So I'm going to let him have it when he's 40.
He actually went for the whole month, huh?
Well, you know, now he feels like he's shafted because his birthday's towards the end of October, you know, so he gets, and then Halloween, he feels a little shafted. So we'll let him linger into November.
Okay. All right. Let him think whatever. Yeah. But it sounds like
that's the big 4-0. Huh?
Yeah, but, you know, it was lovely because I looked around. I had a moment. And this is like, you know, when we're always preaching, you know, you need to focus on the happy things, the little things. and really kind of just be present. Like I said, I run myself ragged at these things because it's like the setup and like the car, so it's a lot. But I stood there and, we've known, our friends for so many years, like we grew up with them. And it was just crazy to like look around and just say like, oh my God, like, and everyone just, it felt like we were at like a high school reunion or something. And like, we see each other, but it's hard. Everyone's got their own lives. People have kids, so it's very rare, unless I'm throwing something, frankly.
Right.
That everyone gets together, and it was just, you felt like just all the love and the excitement. Jay cried too, because Amanda made a beautiful montage video. She makes these amazing videos.
Yes.
And it was I sent her all these pictures of Jay growing up. And my husband, once again, we might be turning to the same person within the first 2 minutes, fully crying. And of course, his guy friends like, oh, Jay's crying. They're all like a bunch of little kids. I said, I feel bad for the teacher that had to teach all these kids in one class, because I was like, you guys they revert back to, being little boys, but it's the cutest thing ever. So it was those little moments you got to like hold on to that are nice.
Yeah. Oh, sounds like so much fun. Yeah, I'm so happy for you guys.
It was very, very nice. But back to the radio show. Otto Lohse will not be with us again next week because he's going to miss a great interview. So it will be Rebecca and I will be hosting together. And we have on Joe Sledge from the Northport VA Medical Center, who is absolutely incredible. He is kind of the VA benefit guru. We really wanted to have someone on for Veterans Day to just discuss, all the important things. Because I think that that's a common thread we see is a lot of veterans not even knowing what's out there to access. And sometimes their spouses can, act. So it's really just educating everyone and getting the word out, because there's a lot of great programs out there. So.
Yeah, he's got a lot of great information.
I'm going to make a suggestion, by the way.
Yes.
Openly, the reason why I won't be here next week is my wife is going to have knee replacement surgery. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to make a suggestion that we somewhere along the line, through one of the partners that we have somebody on about orthopedics.
I actually wrote that down, Otto, when we were talking the other day. I have that on my possible topic thing. Because I think
there's a lot of like the hip, the knees, the wrists, the shoulders. All these things
did.
Happen.
Yeah, we definitely had in the past.
Yeah, when we were back in the studio, I remember.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a long time. Okay. Yeah, and a lot's probably happened. Yeah, but that's a great idea.
Yeah, I know. All of a sudden, it's like everything. When you get involved with it, all of a sudden you find out, oh yeah, I had 2 knees replaced. I had a hip replaced. I had this. I had that.
Well, we used to laugh with David Linden, who's one of our radio co-hosts.
Bionics.
Because he literally was like the bionic man, because it was like every body part. He was like walking around like Terminator. But it's and it's something that obviously a lot of people, and there are different technologies now, so things that it might sound very intense might not necessarily be as crazy. So it's something I think a lot of people can certainly relate to. So that's great, Otto. Don't worry, that is on my topic list where I doodle all my possible topics. So that is already on there.
And we wish, a speedy recovery too to Bunny.
Absolutely.
And please
get good hands with Otto.
Unfortunately, there's no magic wand. It takes several weeks afterward.
Yeah.
Do some
physical therapy.
Whatnot, physical therapy.
Yeah.
But to go on with anybody who's listening, frankly, if you have constant pain from a hip or a knee, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. That's the way it is, period. It's just going to be that way. And it won't stop. It's relentless. I can tell you by observation.
Yeah, unless you
unless you do something.
Unless you do something, right?
Yeah.
And, maybe that's not the easy way either, but at least there's light. There's light at the end of the tunnel by doing that.
Right.
Yes. Good. That's right. It's being proactive. But we also this is what I have to mention. This is hot off the press. Speaking of veterans, North Hempstead is hosting its veteran donation drive again. That is kicking off. Pull up my hot topic. I guess it's now. I guess it's pretty much now. It says North Hempstead, the town supervisor, town board, town veterans advisory committee. Speaking of advisory committees, that's another one the town has. It's its 8th annual Veterans Donation Drive. And these donations are going to be benefiting Hero Hunger Help Project, which is really great. That's what we did last year, and it's really going to help veterans who are combating, some food insecurity issues. The town will be collecting gift cards for grocery stores and pharmacies. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, no clothing, personal care goods, or other items will be accepted at this time. So I just want people to know you could mail gift cards to the Veterans Advisory Committee at the town of North Hempstead, which is 220 Plandom Road in Manhasset, and that's 11030. We'll have it up at the end of the show. We'll put it up on the screen so people can know where you could, send something. So I think that's nice because the gift card too, it gives you like options to kind of, I always like that, because then you feel like you have choice in like what you're choosing, so it's actually a really nice thing, especially
it's a good idea
for the house. So that is kicking off. So I really want everyone to check that out. And I'm very excited. I hope people are getting it. Our Pioneer newsletter.
Yes.
Here it is. Has been mailed out. I hope it came. Otto, did you get your Pioneer newsletter yet?
Not yet.
All right. Well, hopefully so that
I got
give it time. The problem is I think all of us know that there's been a lot of delays in the current society we're in. With a lot of things. And unfortunately, the mail has been one of them. It's taking longer than expected. But hopefully it'll get there. And the information's still great. That's in there. So if you do not get it, give it next week. If you do not get it, please call 311 or 869-6311. Because
definitely let us know if you don't get it.
Absolutely. Give it like next week. I'd say it's been like a lot. I know there's a lot of political mailers going on.
I was going to bring it up.
Great articles. Great article. I think this is one of my favorite pioneers, Kristina.
I love it.
And there's a writer in there. This guy should have.
Yes, that's right. There's this handsome fellow right here.
Who is that handsome fellow?
But the art, the Pioneer is filled all about preparedness. There's about just kind of your general checklist of what you should have in your kit and what to do. There's fire safety, smoke alarms, which we've learned from this show how important it is to really change that and be aware. Then there's this great little checklist that I love that's fall prevention and home safety. And it kind of has a yes or no. And if you check yes, it gives you a tip on how to correct something. Of course, we mentioned our radio program and then all of our great different programs, our transportation programs, scam awareness. There's also a great little kind of bulleted list about coping with COVID-19 re-entry anxiety. We've talked about this a lot on the show.
I think you did a great job on that.
Tremendous.
What I like is it's not a lot of fluff. There's meat in there. It's a very solid.
So my favorite thing is this is like when I do the Pioneer. I could go on forever. I mean, if you should see my original drafts that get sent in, they're like pages and pages, and I know like stuff's gonna have to be cut. But that's always been my thing. I'm like, here's the more, and then then send it back to me, and then we'll like work on what could like go out. But I think it's important because if it gets too wordy, we know it's like hard to even process. So it's like you want to have the kind of right balance of bulleted, like good, solid, meaty information, and there's a lot out there. So. I'm glad. I hope everyone gets it, checks it out, read it. It's such great information. And if you're not getting it, as we said, call 311.
What a great time to take a break. You've been listening to Project Independence in You, Talk of the Town with Kristina Lou, Otto Lohse, and I'm Rebecca. We will be right back after a quick break.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast, and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You. I'm Rebecca Miller, co-host along with Otto Lohse and Kristina Liu with Talk of the Town. Before our break, we were just talking about this incredible newsletter that is going out. Hopefully people will be getting it, I would say, within a week or so. And it's really a great newsletter, such good information and very useful. There's information in there about scams, which are always, unfortunately, evolving too. You know, it seems like as soon as you kind of figure out this is a scam, they already, you know, they're ahead of the game. So you just always have to be mindful.
I got 3 emails this week that were clearly scams, in my opinion. They all indicated that my Norton security renewal has been processed. And they said
I got that too. I got the same one.
And that they applied the prices range between round numbers $200 to $500. And if I had a problem, I should call this number. All right. Otherwise, they would just process the charge. Now, it doesn't say anything about what account they're charging. There's nothing on my credit card. So the game there is you call, you say, I didn't have a $500 charge. Oh, geez, we're so sorry. Give me your credit card number and we'll issue a credit. And I got 3 of the sloppiest looking emails from some address. If you pay attention to the way the thing is structured and the address that the email came from, there were all kinds of weird addresses. My address was all screwed up. But there are going to be people who are going to get nervous about that and say, I didn't.
Of course. And that's what they're hoping for. You know? That's exactly. It's
so
you know,
send
it to as many people as possible and hope someone, you know, responds.
Well, the other one I read about is interesting. It has to do with grants. They've been calling people up, telling them that they have grants from the NRIA, which is some national organization that does not exist, which they enables them to apply money to me to repair my home as a senior. And then they go through this whole hoop-de-doo and they try to get a down payment from the people so that the repair can be made via this grant. So they've been starting to use grants as a tool to tell people, oh, we received a grant for, you know, repairing your windows or doing whatever through some bogus organization. The Federal Grants Administration is one of the names they use as a, you know, oh yeah, we got a grant from the Federal Grants Administration, which does not exist. And, you know, to try to set people up for give me some money.
Right.
And we'll give you all this great stuff.
Sounds too good to be true. It is.
Yeah,
period.
Exactly.
It really just, I mean, it's devious. It's just so devious how they try to prey on people and seniors. But, you know, we have to get out the education. I think we were even talking to a county executive last week about you have to get the information out there. It's just educate people.
Right, because that's literally all, you know, unfortunately, are able to really do, because as we know, you know, we say all the time, they change and evolve so rapidly. And that's one of the negatives with technology, because it gives people the ability, you know, to, and there's a lot of times, you know, I mean, my husband calls me all the time, you know, because he thinks I'm like the scam, like cracker. And he's like, you know, I got this email, like, what do you know, do you have it? So I was like, so I'm always like, you know, really need to like click on the, you know, the email sender. And that's pretty much because, you know, it'll originally look like, oh, it's from Amazon or, you know, whatever. Right. And then when you click on it, it's like A, B, C, D, E, F. It's like all kinds of like crazy stuff, you know? So it's like, that's always like kind of my first thing, because these emails look super real and legit, you know? And Beck, you had brought it up last week to the county executive, you know, that, you know, so much of this is shame. And, you know, that's hard to, you know, spread the word because people are too scared to say what happened to them.
They're embarrassed that they fell for a scam, right? And you know, it's like
it's so important to really take that away. And I think, you know, in a lot of our advisory committees, you know, we always encourage people to come forward with anything, or, you know, so many people have brought in, you know, postcards that they got and all different stuff. And we spread the word, you know, and I remember being in one and, you know, the person who, it was a grandparents scheme, you know, it was that one that, oh, your grandkid is, you know, back. And I remember, I think we were there together and we were both just felt horrible, you know, and here's a woman who was very savvy, you know, and with it and very, you know, independent, you know, and but they prey on that fear and get you literally. And then, you know, it went on for a while, but luckily, you know, she realized it was fake and then, you know, didn't end up going through, but it was close, you know, and it's really important that's why I encourage people, even if it sounds shady, just call and report it. There's so many different phone numbers, you know, whether it's the police department, the attorney general, or, I mean, everyone's got, you know, some kind of scam hotline.
Or even call a friend, just say, you know, I got this thing, you know, a lot of times you talk it out and you realize, you know, this is a scam. You know, the biggest shame about it is, and I think I brought this up many, many years ago, Kristina, I know we talked about it, even with Otto, is, you know, Project Independence, when we first started, we had, you know, computer instruction, really trying to get seniors to buy a computer, turn on their computer. We had a program that brought computers to seniors' homes and they were used and set them up and get on the internet. And then like 5 years down, people are finally, it's like, don't touch the link, don't believe emails, don't, you know, it's like, and I think that caused kind of like a stop. Until,
of course.
Because now you hear so much more about scams, even on texts. And, you know, I know my mother, I got a text from, you know, LIPA, they said, or Bill Short, whatever, you know, you have to just put your computer. No, it's even text, you know, no company is going to text you out of the blue and, you know,
no, and we always say, you know, the best thing to do, and I think about that all the times we've done so many scam programs here, you know, is to contact the legit number, you know, you have for an organization, to call them.
If it's, if it's a credit card, you turn the credit card over, you call that number. You know, Good point.
And, you know, that's what we don't want people walking around terrified, you know,
exactly.
Because it can be like, oh my God, I don't want to touch this. I don't want to do this. I'm scared to go to the ATM. You know, it's all these like different things. But I think it's just, you know, being aware and, you know, not being afraid to question something, because I said last week, if they're legit, they're not going to be mad at you for questioning, you know? So the only reason someone's going to get crazy is if they, you know, are lying to you.
And you're not obligated to respond to anybody. Don't talk to them. Hang up.
Exactly.
No, and I think
email. You're not obligated to reply to this Norton Security fake. It's not Norton Security. You're not obligated. Just ignore it. Delete it. Those were the worst. Did you said you got one of those this week?
Yes.
They were the sloppiest looking.
I just was like, I don't even have Norton's, and I immediately am like,
I don't have Norton either.
I was like, bye, deleted.
You know, the other thing that's kind of, it's not a scam. And I have to think of what the word is, but when you get something in the mail, like a beautiful package, you know, it costs like $20 just to send you. Maybe they send you stamps with it and they want you to either donate or, you know, get their credit card, and they've spent so much money on it. And you almost feel like, and they make it like, oh, you're in the elite club. So, you know, you could get this. And it's like, it's not cool. Like, it's just, it just isn't, because like, you know, if somebody is, you know, I don't want to say just a senior, but a little bit gullible, you know, when you see this very official looking piece of mail, and it is legit, you know, it is from a company or.
There is a term for it, and I have to look back, because when we've had scam people on, and I forgot the word for it, I have to find it. I'll find it for next week.
It's like embellish.
Yes, it's not like an overt scam, but you know, I'll find the word.
On a guilt trip.
Exactly. Like
if I kept every address label that we received from legitimate charities.
Exactly.
If I kept every one, I'll bet I have 50,000 address labels by now.
Oh, definitely.
The other beauty is my car warranty is that is the most annoying of all. That comes in like
that is
every
one
day.
that might be the most going the strongest, because it died out for a little bit, right? Because I was like thinking about the other day, because it's like ramped up again for me, because I'm constantly getting, messages on my home phone, on, and on my
they're
cell phone.
relentless.
I'll be at work and I'm like, are we back? This is back. Like, I thought like we faded on my car's warranty, but it's back in full force. And unfortunately, as the holidays come around, you're gonna see more of these kind of things and charity kind of scam things. So it's
right.
Listen, I'm saying you should donate to your favorite charity or something, but you need to be the proactive one in figuring that out and calling it and whatnot. So I just think it's important. And like I said, don't be afraid to report or question something. You could always call 311. Or 516-869-6011. Now I think we have to say 516, right? Are we?
Yes, we're at that point,
right? Because I knew that I'm trying to get my brain kind of used to, that being a thing now. So call that, and you could always and even if you know it's a scam, if you send it to us, we're able to email it out to our distribution list or spread the word on our show. So that's why I really encourage people to please let us know, because we have the ability to kind of pass that information around. So
now I have a topic that has nothing that you won't know the answer to, I don't think. Is the town thinking about getting electric cars? I know they have hybrid cars.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm thinking that is Hertz just ordered 100,000 Tesla electric cars.
Are you requesting one, Otto, as your co-host?
No, I'm thinking, electric cars. Maybe we could have somebody on who's an authority on electric cars one of these days.
Sure.
It's a topic that you hear all the major manufacturers saying, in 5 years, we're only going to have electric cars or whatever. There's so many gray areas connected to that. If you live in Jackson Heights, Queens, and you got to drive around the block for an hour to find a parking place, how do you get your car charged? I don't know. There's
there's some real, because I've actually had, me and my friends have these discussions all the time, because it's definitely.
So maybe there's like a.
There you go. I'll see if I can find someone.
Looking at electric cars for the county, or whatever.
So how do electric cars get charged in urban areas?
Yeah.
Well, even
there's important, or just any, or like rural.
Free parking. Yeah.
Obviously now, you'll see it more in certain places and stuff. You'll see little, stands, but that's not everywhere. So I think about that all the time. Sometimes if you're driving in a rural kind of area, or they're not everywhere. So how does that work? Well,
Tesla has it in the car. It lets you know where there are charging stations. So if you get a Tesla, your home, you get a charging station at your home. I don't know what they do if you park on the street.
Right.
Maybe you just have to go to a charging station, or there's some other apparatus in the city that they have, spots in the city that can charge. I don't know.
That only handle Tesla cars?
I think Tesla charges, they're not going to they're going to just sell for their own car,
so
but there are.
Hopefully it's not going to be like when you buy a new phone or you get a tablet or a computer and you wind up with 14 different cables.
I know. Don't you hate that?
Got different ends on them.
Well, I have to say, I went up to Potsdam and I stayed, I think it was a Hampton Inn, and they had charging stations, and there was a Tesla and there was another car. So I think that they do share them. I don't know that it's just one for one particular kind, but I don't know. I don't know 100%.
Our fabulous Wizard of Oz behind the curtain.
Oh,
every electric car has a 110-volt charger you can plug in anywhere. It just takes much longer to charge. Oh, there he is. Look, we have our very own guru right here.
Well,
panelist.
I'm a big proponent of electric cars. Huge.
Okay.
And if the Biden infrastructure bill goes through, $13 billion is set aside to put electric charging stations all over the United States. 13 billion with a B. Yes, a friend of mine owns an electric car. I'd like to buy one, maybe next year. They all come with this little 110-volt charger. most chargers are 220 volts. They charge much faster. Now, he's come here to do his radio show. He's one of the other radio show hosts. And he would park out back and we would plug his little 110 charger in. It's a very slow charge, but it still gives you an opportunity to kind of top off things.
Right.
But the technology has gotten to the point where you go 300 miles on a charge. I mean, 300 miles. If you can't find a charging station every 300 miles, I'd find that difficult, to understand, because the interstate happens now too.
I'd say, like anybody who drives within semi-local area, it makes sense.
Yes,
but if you're going on a cross-country trip,
you can do it. You can do it. Most interstate sites now have electric charging stations on federal interstate highways.
But how long will it take me to charge the car as opposed to just pumping? I'm in favor of them.
Well, no, I know you are. Plus the fact that every time you hit the brake, you're charging the battery also. There's a system within the car that creates inductive energy that charges the battery every time you hit the brake. So that charges it along the way. Not that you're going to hit the brake at 70 miles an hour too much on an interstate. But no, the charging times are not that long. Like if you're going to sit and have lunch, it'll probably get you another 100, 150 miles, that kind of thing. So it's not that hard. It's getting better and better. And
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. As more cars and companies are now, doing this, whether it's even hybrid or full, whatever it might be. So I think we'll definitely kind of see this. And listen, we all could vouch on gas prices are like astronomical.
It's definitely the future. And I think all municipalities, their fleet of cars, not trucks yet, but their fleet of cars should be electric.
Yeah, because they do local driving.
Exactly. And the amount
let's visualize 20 years from now. Okay. They have all these gas stations that exist.
I thought we would have been flying flying cars by now.
Me too. I wanted my flying car by now.
Yeah, I had really high hopes when I was a little girl. I was like, oh my God, it sounded so. I was convinced, and I'm still.
My sons and I have talked about this too. Could you imagine everybody owning an electric car? How quiet the roads are going to be.
Yeah, true.
They don't make any noise. They hum. They whir.
Yeah. Now, is the structure of creating power strong enough at this point in time for everybody to have an electric car?
I don't know, to be honest with you. But part of the infrastructure bill also has a lot of solar and wind to increase the amount of non-fossil fuels that we're going to be using. No, there's a real commitment in these, and if the bill passes, there's a real commitment to the climate in the next 20 years.
So 30 years from now, most gas stations shouldn't be in business.
Right.
They should be charging stations.
Right. They'll be floating.
They'll become charging stations. Well, they'll become charging stations, yeah, probably.
Well, we'll see, guys. Who knows? I'm just trying to figure out what tomorrow brings. So,
but I'm predicting that the super solar sucker will be there, and you'll have one on the roof of your car, and that as you're driving, it's going to suck up the sun.
Yeah,
and give you
I like
power.
that name. I think it's quite the catchy name. The super solar sucker.
That's going to be marketed really, really well.
It would work.
I like it, Otto. Good stuff. Well, Otto, get
SSS.
Did anyone else just see Dan come on? Because all of a sudden he's going.
If you get a topic he's really inspired about, he just can't.
And he backs off.
When it comes to the environment or anything like that,
we know his triggers. We'll get him right on. But that's a topic that clearly we're all interested in. So I'll see if I could track someone down to do that, to discuss it. But I also just want to remind everyone that we have a lot of virtual programs that are still going on. There's some that have now moved to in-person. So there's a whole bunch of different things going on. So you could just call 311 or 869-6311 to get information on that. Our November email newsletter should be hopefully coming out next week. And if you're not getting that, you can call up and say you want to be added to our email list, which is great because that's monthly. So you're able to get monthly updates on not just Project Independent stuff, but all kinds of town programs and new updates on certain things. So that's a great resource. I encourage people to check out. And
you know what? I think today, actually, just putting it out there, if you have not yet gone, you can still check out. Oh, wait, no, I think you have to register for the Halloween party.
Yes, when I was leaving work yesterday, they were fully booked.
Yes, they were fully booked. And the Veterans Breakfast Barbecue was last week on Friday under the tent. So they rented a tent and they did have bands and I hear that it's very successful. But Well, we have to kind of come to the conclusion of today's show. And it was a very good show. Kristina, as usual, pulling great guests. Otto, good to have you back. We'll miss you next week. And, blessings to John Ryan from all of us.
John, we made it through. I know he's listening to us. We made it through. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it through today, but we did.
His family.
So that's right.
And to his family and all of his fans, which we all are.
Absolutely.
And we'll miss you forever and love you forever. And everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.